saying that loud. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. I've been really trying, baby, trying to hold back these feelings for so long. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Just a quick bar for you, a candy-coated bar for you, coming at you, getting wild on a Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, if it's your first time here, welcome to the podcast where we get a little wacky, we get a little crazy, we have a little bit of fun, and we just, we talk some shit. Sometimes we get into deep stuff. Sometimes we get into neat stuff, slick stuff, fun stuff, Today's no different. What's going on in the world? Wednesday. World Cup is happening. I got to be honest with you. I don't know if it's just when I see people, like all of a sudden I got friends that are wearing soccer jerseys and saying shit like, bruv, like they've all of a sudden like taken on this European lifestyle of now they're football heads, and and it's almost annoying when people say football, like they say not soccer, they say the football version. It's like, hey, who are you doing that for? Who are you trying to impress that year? Like, I think people who like sports, I feel like if they think they're cultured and they're high class, that they adopt soccer, that they take on this international lifestyle of, bro, did you watch the old football game? Bro, we got the World Series. Messi. I don't even know who Messi is. Okay. I know he is like Ronaldo and him. I know they're like the top soccer players. Couldn't tell you a thing about it. Okay. Listen, I understand that people play soccer. It's cool, I guess. Okay. This is probably one of those things, and I'm just saying this as a way out of this. I'm sure if you really know the game of soccer, it's a beautiful thing. But it's also the same thing like chess. Like, what was that Netflix show that came out? It was like the Queen's Gambit or something, where the girl was a chess savant and like did drugs and would look at the ceiling and like trip out and like practice her chess moves. Guarantee made everybody download a chess app for a week. Everybody was like, you know what? I'm getting into chess. All right. Your boy, I'm guilty of it. I've done it a few times throughout my life. I'm going to be a chess guy. You just take on this character. It's like when you go see a movie and like John Wick or something like that, or Twilight. Huh? Who said that? And then you walk out of the theater pretending you're the main character. Like you now have adopted new personality traits because of what you just watched. Like after John Wick happened, everybody walked their dog different for a week. Everybody wishes a bitch would, okay? You would just be walking your dog down the street and be like, I wish a bitch would, okay? Kill this dog so I can go on a killing spree. John Wick was a great movie, though. Keanu Reeves fucking killed it, all right? I'm a Keanu Reeves fan. And I remember in college, I took a few acting classes. The theater. Can't stand theater people, let's be real. Is there a snootier bunch of people, pretentious, that at the end of the day, all you're doing is playing pretend? Like, come on. You're not a soldier. You're not out there at war. You're on stage in a black box going, what is my action? I just don't feel like, and you're being grandiose. Is there anybody more snobby than a group of theater people in between plays that go to a coffee place? They wear a scarf and they're like in between performances. So they did one show, then they go to the coffee place and they're just so in theater mode that they just ask for an empty cup of coffee and they just fart directly into it and just smell it. Cause they're like, I can do no wrong. This gives me more energy. I don't know why we came so hard for the theater people. At the end of the day, your boy did some plays growing up. All right. No big deal. They're just so extra is what I'm saying. So extra and pretentious. That's the point I'm making. I took this theater class in college. And I remember Keanu Reeves was the butt of almost every joke that the theater teacher, and listen, this was community college, used Keanu Reeves as the butt of every joke of people who can't act. And I was like, okay, like The Matrix? Matrix is an iconic film. Granted, it comes down to taste of what you consider good acting. Because Keanu Reeves, I think he does great in the roles that he's in. Ooh, dude, I mean, I can't get over it. That one line where he says, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. And when you look at Keanu Reeves as a person, I don't measure people just by their ability of one area of their life, like the skill set. Like when you start looking like, yeah, I respect certain skill sets when they're like a complete goat at it. Like when you look at Floyd Mayweather, I look at him and I have so much respect for him inside the ring. When you look at like no one, I don't think he gets the respect he deserves for how defensive of a boxer he was. Literally breaking down what boxing is supposed to be is you go in there, impose your game plan, give a good offense, and take the little, like go in there, do as much damage while taking the least amount of damage possible. That should be the goal of combat sports. And when you look at it, longevity, like I never, even doing jujitsu and boxing and everything like that, I never liked gym wars. Granted, when I first started boxing, it was a lot like that. And it was fine. I came up in an old school gym, literally called Old School was the name, where the trainer would flip a coin and he would call people in from the streets. Listen, it was in kind of the ghetto area. But what he would do is he would flip a coin. He'd call in someone riding their bike, and he'd be like, hey, I'm gonna flip a coin and let's see which one of my boxers you're gonna fight. He would do this. This was his marketing tactic. He was like, because me being smaller, he was like, and this other guy, Will, shout out Will. He would be like, you guys are smaller guys. If I call in someone big from the streets and they get their ass kicked by a small guy, they'll want to learn this. And I'm like, hey, I'm only 16 years old, but I think there might be some holes in your marketing. And he'd be like, no, it's okay. What are you, a fairy? That was like his favorite line. Shout out Mike. But he would flip a coin, call in someone and be like, yo, which one of these kids you want to fight? And the person would be like, I want to fight that one. And then fucking flip a coin. Okay, you're up, Evan. And I'd be like, holy shit. I have to go in there and fight this person. It wasn't sparring. It was fighting. Okay. Because they were trying to murder me. So I would have to survive the most crazy onslaught of an untrained person fighting for their fucking life. R. Kelly interview. Y'all killing me with this shit. Fighting for my fucking life. And then, since they didn't know how to fight, they would gas themselves out that first round. And then I would start outboxing them the second round. And if there even was a third round, it would be a clinic just based purely on conditioning and technique. If it had been a street fight, that was always the other thing, is like, if you don't have gloves and you don't have, things can be different in the street, you know? Some of these people who have street fighting experience, they can pull some shit off. Rare, but they can, because shit's unorthodox. It's coming at you weird. Point I'm making is it was, there were so many times I got involved in what was called gym wars or rolling hard in training when people didn't want to tap or they're grinding stuff. And you're just like, hey, big picture, what are we doing here? I don't need to fight you to know that I'm tough. I don't want to just exchange with you and keep taking punches to the head right now. Like, I'm focused big picture. I want to do longevity, baby, the whole picture. So you would see that a lot with Mayweather. Everything was like longevity. He had a fight style to be like, how long can I do this? And then you see some fighters where, you know, Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward, dude, their fights are still probably the most epic fights just from a slugging standpoint. I don't know if there's been any boxing matches that have outdone those rounds. Insane. But Arturo Gatti allegedly shot himself. There was a lot of conspiracy about his wife and everything. I don't want to get into that, but definitely had a lot of brain damage. And that's like the thing is you can have those fights and they're exciting and you're a fan's fighter, but it's like, what's the long-term game in this? And you see it too with other fighters like Diego Sanchez, and they just go out there and they're just ready to take two to give one. I don't know. You do the math of that and you're just like, oh, I don't know about this. But that's why I have so much respect for Mayweather. And here's the thing. I went way too off on a tangent. But with Mayweather, I respect so much one aspect of his life, but it doesn't necessarily mean I respect all the aspects of his life. I don't really know him. I don't know how much is show, how much is, real. There's a lot of domestic violence stuff. So like I start measuring people on that of just a whole. I don't even know the original point I was making. It was about, theater people. And going back to Keanu Reeves about how, man, we're really climbing all the way out of this rabbit hole. Keanu Reeves, how I judge people holistically like that. Like, I don't really care when it comes to actors, especially. I care more about who you are. Like Zac Efron, someone who's come on my radar, giggity, recently about being a good person. And like whenever people just become introspective, I become fans of them. Whenever they're just trying to better themselves and they're not completely giving into their ego. I feel like it's easier. It happened a lot in Hollywood, especially because people used to go to movies for movie stars. So it's a very ego-driven thing that you're saying, hey, come see my movie because I'm a star. Not exactly what you do or anything like that. Like that's what would drive sales is you need movie stars. And that was something that Quentin Tarantino talked about recently, was about how Marvel and everything is killing movies because there's no more movie stars. People are calling these people, and it's interesting, they're calling these characters their character name. People aren't going to see like, oh my God, that new Robert Downey Jr. movie, it's the new Iron Man movie. You go out and they're like, oh, hey, look, it's Hawkeye. Instead of, I forgot the actor's name. I'm guilty of it. And it's an interesting take, dude. I think Quentin Tarantino is the man. That's another savant. I just love seeing people who are so into one thing and they're so good at it. That's never going to be me. Okay. It's just not who I am. My brain is super scattered with like needing a ton of different things. I don't know what it is, but I have a hard time identifying as one thing. And I hate using the word identifying because trigger, people definitely use the word identifying too much nowadays. Like people who identify as soccer fans. Okay. They're out here saying, bro, buying fucking how like during this World Series, I feel like, I don't even know if it's called a World Cup. Sorry. You can see how only cup I know is two girls with one of them, bars. I only know the World Cup and I know the Mario Cup. Okay. Get me out there on the field with Yoshi, fucking whistling over bananas. If you know, you know. I'd like to know the algorithm of Mario Kart because they nailed it. Because you can't just like build the lead too much in first place. Like the algorithm was built up. If you're in last place, you're getting lightnings, you're getting stars, and you're getting, the blue shells with the spikes to go to first place. But if you're in first place, you're getting a bullshit banana. Oh, you're getting green shells. You're getting upside down cubes. It is what it is. It's just, they figured it out to make it competitive the whole time. You couldn't just rely on the skill. You almost had to time it. Like you didn't want to be first place too early. If you're in first place, you had to drop back a little bit. There's a whole game and you're still in it. In the last round, you were in 8th place. You could still pull it out. You still pull a rabbit out your hat. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, people who watch soccer, what is going on? Like, I feel like being a soccer fan became an identity this year. Am I wrong? Or did my algorithm get messed up? Because I feel like so many people that are posting about soccer that I don't even think they've ever seen a hacky sack, which there has to be another level of that where people who are they're buying hacky sacks now. People are just saying, bro, and buying hacky sacks. That has to be a new thing that's catching on. Just walking around being like, you know what it is? East London. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Elon Musk buying Twitter. The bot has been paid for. Elon Musk is firing a ton of people. People are upset with Elon Musk. And I don't know, listen, we know on this podcast we have had our beef with Elon Musk just from a personality standpoint. It was always just a personal beef with Elon Musk and I, where he was pretending to be Iron Man and I wasn't buying it. But listen, I am team Elon, okay? I'm team whatever is happening to Twitter, because it needs to change. I haven't been on Twitter in forever. And why? Because it turned into a cesspool of just toxic stuff. It was always, you couldn't do anything. And I think free speech is so important, obviously. And if Twitter becomes that, that's great. But it's also interesting how many people he fired. Like allegedly, he fired something like 80% of the staff. I could be off on that number, but I know it was a giant number. And I think that's fine. I think that's great. That part of a way to make a company profitable real quick is be like, okay, cut out the fat. What's not needed? How much of this is fluff? Because that's why I always never liked working for other companies. Why I want to start my own business is, for one, I never wanted someone to just have the ability to fire me for other reasons other than my job performance. And two, I like working efficiently. I like working at a certain pace and doing things that are just optimized. So when you get in a situation where it's salary and it feels like a lot of the economy is set up not to optimize people for job performance, but to optimize for job time. Not even optimize. It's just based off of time and investment, which is crazy because we don't reward people for optimization in the workforce. We reward them for just how much time they can dedicate. And it's almost like when you do optimize thing and you trim fat, you get less budget. So it's a weird game that you play in the workforce. And when you start looking at, like, I don't know, boundaries are all fucked up in jobs too. Like when people can contact you and when you're supposed to be doing things. I feel like that all has to change. Like people don't have boundaries with work and stuff like that. And your boss can just be like, oh, you need to do this and blah, blah, blah. It can just pile up when it's like, hey, fucko, maybe you're not doing your job, which is making me inefficient with my job. So there's like it's a bad system. You almost need to strip it out and bring it back to just efficiency and working smaller. And that's why I think things got so bloated with Twitter. And just in general, I was actually talking to a buddy who worked for Meta, and they had an issue where, and it's kind of crazy. He was talking about how during the pandemic, since everybody was home, Meta did very well. Everybody was online, Facebook, Instagram, all the engagement just went through the roof because everybody was home. So I guess Meta didn't think about this. They thought, okay, great, let's grow and capitalize on this. So let's hire all these other people so we can just keep expanding even more and more and more. They didn't necessarily expect that everybody would not be on social media as much when the world opened up. So usage went completely down and they just completely laid off a lot of people, which sucks, man. It sucks because it makes sense, but it's also like, hey, shame on you. You got to figure out a better system. Like, how did you not see that being a temporary thing? And then you can start, if you wanted to put on a conspiracy hat, you could go, okay, well, from Meta's perspective, does it almost benefit them that if people did stay home, if the pandemic was extended? Like that kind of seems like something that might benefit them. So wouldn't that become almost, if you wanted to get down the rabbit hole of pushing a certain narrative to protect their own business model when everything is up during the pandemic, it just shows you, hey, all is well when we're in a pandemic. So we need to keep this moving. Our engagement, all of this, people are glued to it. Let's keep pushing this. Oh, people are saying that's not as bad. We need to suppress that. So it obviously was like a political thing, but also financially, incentive, not even from politicians, but even their own bottom dollar of being like, hey, we need to keep people on here because it's legit just pennies and cents. It's the same reason why the news always puts like bad news. It's like, hey, people look at negative stuff more. So let's keep that negativo going. But yeah, crazy shit. And there's a lot of pushback on Elon Musk with Twitter. Like people just turned on him completely and just how terrible he is. But I'm like, hey, give him a chance. Let's figure this out. Let's see what can happen with Twitter if it really does become something else than what it is. I think there's going to be a lot of attacks on Twitter. I think there's going to be, people wanting it to fail. But you just got to keep it moving. You can't really pay attention. I'm at the point now where I'm getting close to a flip phone. Okay. I started Googling it, started reading Reddit reviews of people who went off social media. I want to use it just for a business and like putting out content. Because I don't know, there has to be a balance, and maybe I let myself go too much with it. That definitely has happened. It just wasn't like fulfilling. And sometimes it seems easier just to try to get satisfaction out of your phone rather than investing in like, hey, no, I'm going to go out for a walk. I'm going to go to a lake and go fishing. I'm going to go do this and just unwind, So I'm trying to shut that faucet off of getting that reward from that and getting it from real world experience. It's listen, it's deer season, fucking trout season. Your boy is ready. I'm getting outdoors and I'm getting after it. All right. Not this weekend, not the next weekend, the weekend after. Your boy's going hunting, heading out to the deer lease. I'm gonna bag something. All right. Gonna be, I got my bow. I got my target. I got my arrows. I'm going to be practicing the next couple of weeks, see if I'm ready. But here's the thing also. If I'm not ready, if I don't think that I'm skilled enough as an archer, I shall wait, okay? Because the last thing I want to do, and when I say I'll wait, I'll just use a rifle. I don't want to hurt an animal. I don't want to just wound it and have it crawl away, 2 miles away and just be like, that doesn't sound nice to me. Unless it's a boar. Because people hate boar, all right? You talk to some of these ranch owners, and they're like, yeah, the more tortured, the better. If you could get that thing with a butter knife, have at it. I'm like, whoa. But I am looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to just getting out there on a lake, just catching me some trout. Listen, that is my comfort. That's my comfort food also. A nice trout, stuff it with some garlic, some salt and pepper, some lemons. What I do is I fillet them nice. And I stuff them with garlic. I put a bunch of lemon juice and I stuff the lemon rinds in there, a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I put it in foil, boom, put it over an open fire, okay? When you're camping, there's nothing better than that, all right? You just caught a fish straight out of the lake. You go back to the campground, gut it real quick, chop off that head, fucking season it all, clean the insides, season it all up, put it on the fire, hear it cooking and the juices. It's the best thing ever. That nothing tastes better than that. All right. It's the same effect like you've been in the ocean all day and then you have like a sandwich at the beach. You eat some Ruffles. Listen, for some reason, only when you're at the beach, if you have Ruffles and you get sand on them, they taste better. I don't know what it is. Gives it a little extra salt from the sand, but it just tastes better. And I'm looking forward to getting out there on that lake and just taking down some trout. And you know what? People complain about how these trout that are being stalked by these hatcheries aren't healthy for you. Hey, it is what it is. I'm going to eat them. Okay. Listen, there's no way of really knowing what is healthy unless you're going to a real wild land and just getting food that way. We don't know what's happening at Whole Foods. We don't know what's happening at the grocery store, all this food we're getting. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to be okay with this hatchery. Because you know what? I got McDonald's the other day and I'm still alive. All right. Listen, I got a Big Mac the other day. One of the weirdest things I've ever eaten in my life. Not how I remember. Okay. Just a weird process, but it is what it is. I haven't had a Big Mac in years and I went for it. All right. Sometimes you just got to live a little. All right. You can't always be so strict. You got to kind of pull it back a little bit. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying to get better of having seasons in my life. That's something that I really want to work on, is where I don't just go through the holidays all the time. It's trying to kind of live my life in seasons so they make sense of why I'm doing this while I'm doing that. And kind of just, it gives you, instead of just like mundane, here we go again, every day after the other is the same. Every month after the other is the same, and like kind of really try to enjoy different quarters of my life. Right now we in Q4, in case you didn't know, because I've been feeling overworked, and we've talked about that a lot on the podcast, of burning the candle at all ends, which is fine. Okay. Listen, I'm not complaining. I'm lucky to have a life where I can try to go after my goals. Getting married in 2 weeks. A little less than 2 weeks now. Excited, okay? Excited. It's been stressful. Been overworked. There's a lot of planning that goes into shit. It's a very small wedding too, but there's so much planning. And when you just have, it is stressful no matter what, because you start off small and you're like, this is all it is. And then it kind of grows a little bit. And everything just costs money, but it is what it is. But dealing with that and everything has just been stressful. And I've realized that last night was like a waking up point for me, because I went and did a set, and I've been having this happen, which is weird. I've been fucking up words. Like, my brain has been so fatigued that I say words weird. And I'm like, did I have a stroke? Okay. So I've been having like a lot of like pronunciation errors on stage, and just even in conversation, talking to friends, whatever. I've just said words weird or said the wrong words. And I'm like, why did I just do that? But last night it happened a few times on stage, and it happened to the point where I said something and it didn't make sense. They were like, what? And it was a weird, awkward moment, and I recovered. I was like, I had to repeat myself. And then it was just so awkward. I was cringing on the inside. They felt uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable. We tried to recover, but it was one of those sets where you walk out after and you go, ugh. Great for you, okay? Because I wrote the entire way home, restructured the bit, everything I was working on, how I need to approach it, and then I rewrote it again this morning, going to give it another crack tonight, and I think it's going to be better, okay? But I noticed that I just have been having so much brain fatigue. Like, my mind has been going so much, like overworked, that my brain's going too fast. So I start thinking of things to say and like doing things, but then I start fucking it up. I just get some errors. Like, it's almost like you're typing on the keyboard and a little baby hand comes in and goes, da, 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 like in there. And you're just like, whoa, and then everything gets all jumbled. So we're working on slowing things down and relaxing a little bit, which hasn't happened yet, but we're going to make it happen. Okay. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for the new subscribers on YouTube. Y'all are the best. I love you guys. Exciting stuff this next year coming up. We're just happy. We're glad to keep things moving and everything. I got nothing else for you guys. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. And remember, no matter what, even though I just said it, I still love you.